You know, uh, yeah, I'm not, I know different people feel differently about, do you call it Easter? I like to call it Resurrection Sunday when Christians honor Yeshua's resurrection. And it's kind of cool because oftentimes it falls on the Sunday or the first day of the week of Chag HaMatzot, of unleavened bread. Well, this year is kind of an interesting year because the first day of the Shabbat of unleavened bread was Saturday night into Sunday of last week, which really, so tonight, technically, biblically, today marks the seventh day of Chag HaMatzot. And it really, so the festival from a biblical standpoint in Israel ends at sundown on Saturday night. Now, outside of the land of Israel, they double the high Sabbaths. So today's Shabbat, and that means also tomorrow, is the second part of the same Shabbat. And so many Jewish people will be reading from these texts in Isaiah 10, 11, and 12, which speaks of resurrection. It's amazing, right? Because what are many Christians going to be embracing tomorrow is, right, this idea of the resurrection of Yeshua. And we just read about the resurrection of Yeshua. And it's kind of interesting. One thing that kind of stands out to me in that text is this issue with the folded up cloth. Now, I heard a long time ago that whenever a rabbi was going to have a Passover Seder or something where he's going to have a meal, if you saw a folded up cloth at the table, it was always an indication that everything was complete and done. And so that was kind of an interesting perspective to think of it from that angle. That Yeshua is maybe conveying the notion that it's finished, as he says, as he hangs on the execution stake. But I think it's possibly really more just alluding to the ideas is that it's perfect, it's clean, it's folded up. It's as though it's never even been tarnished at all from blood or from death. And that is the power of the resurrection. And that is the power, is that, I don't know, I imagine we will have memory. We will be able to look back to be able to recognize how great something is that you have. You have to be able to look at what you didn't have. But I think all the pain, all the suffering, and you think of the most horrendous memories that you have from this olam hazeh, from this life, will just be a shadow and will not even be worth taking into consideration when we have the glory that is revealed to us at that time when we're in the presence of the Lord. Amen? And the response to this of what they saw was that they had to go and they had to tell somebody about it, right? And that's something that the Besorah, the good news of Yeshua, the death, the burial, and the resurrection of Yeshua should incite us to go and to tell somebody about it and what he's done for us. And so that segues into the book of Galatians. So we're coming to the conclusion of the last few verses. We've been going through Galatians in Galatias, in the region of what's modern-day Turkey, and Rav Shaul is addressing this issue right around 49 AD. I think he does it before the Council of Jerusalem that we read about in Acts chapter 15. That's an important text to understand the book of Galatians. So you got to go back and track through Acts 15 to get kind of a good snapshot of some of the issues that are going on in Galatians. But there's a heretical teaching that's going on, and it's one that's causing trouble. And one of the big issues, and my thesis is there's two major issues. Number one, this heretical teaching that's coming from these opponents of Shaul, these pseudo-believers, as he calls them, false brethren. They are possibly people that say that they follow Yeshua, maybe or maybe not. But they are distorting Paul's message of the Besorah, of the good news of Yeshua, and what that means. And there's a couple of ramifications of that. It tends to predicate on fear, because if somebody thinks that they have to convert to Judaism and that they have to change their status as an individual, what is their salvation lying in now? And what is it that makes them right with God? And so this tends to stir up fear. And the other issue, the other ramification of that is that it would cause division and strife and pride.